Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the Aquarius New Moon 2020 happening on January 24th, 2020 at 4:42 p.m. Eastern Time. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please double check the internet for your local time zone and listings. All right, so this isn't a fun little new moon. Because of the way it's creating a lot of transformation by surfacing certain old wounds, old energies, old storylines, old patterns, and forcing all of us to, I guess you could say, get with the program. Evolution is happening, and the universe is like, get with the program, people, get with the program. This new moon has um, several interesting signatures that speak to the get with the program message. I'm not going to go into all of them to really get a handle on the overall energies of this new moon and how this is going to impact you individually. I highly recommend that you watch the general video, as that will probably be more applicable to things you're seeing in your day-to-day life. For the benefit of time, I'm just going to cover the major energies here and then what's happening for the divine feminine and the divine masculine planets by transit. And then, to get the bigger picture to ground this, what I'm about to tell you, definitely take a look at the general video because it clarifies a lot of how we arrive at this energy, or a lot of what this energy is truly about at its core and what we're supposed to do with it. So this new moon takes place at the 4th degree of Aquarius here in the chart. And the ruler of this particular new moon's energy being Uranus. Uranus is in a square to that new moon. And with the square always comes tension. With squares and oppositions, we get energy of tension and challenge, and sometimes they bring out more of the shadow energy, the shadow sides of a particular configuration. But because it's not just Uranus, we've also got um, a sextile to Chiron here. Here's Chiron and Aries talking to this new moon. There's a bit of a sudden exposure of a wound that needs to be healed and some hidden things that get revealed. Either hidden emotions or hidden feelings or sudden insights. Oh, I didn't know I felt that way. Oh, I didn't know I wanted that. Oh, I didn't realize that I was in this place, and that it kind of creeps up on us that we are where we are in our connections under the light of this full moon. There can definitely be an energy of both mood swings and mind swings, as Uranus can be very erratic. Aquarius can be very erratic. And so if you find that there's a bit of a back and forth, up and down, moving rapidly in and out of polarities here, know that it's because of the way this energy in Aquarius is working out. It can be kind of hard to ground and land new foundations under the light of this new moon, especially because we're still integrating the energy of the eclipse that happened in Cancer just a couple weeks prior with the full moon. And that particular lunar full moon eclipse had a lot of strong ending signature energy to it. And this is the full moon under which we get clarity about why certain things need to end at this time. So, that being said, let's kind of dig into the energies of the divine masculine and the divine feminine here. Okay, so here's the divine masculine here at the 12th degree of Capricorn. That's Jupiter in the way that I read. Jupiter is having a sextiling conversation to Venus and a squaring conversation to Juno. Fun times. So the Jupiter not a full square, but almost a square, sort of like a square. It's in a squaring sign to the divine feminine. But it's the sextiling conversation to Venus that's a little other than how we'd all like it. Um, the masculine energies in all of us in the physical and grounding sign of Capricorn wants to make things real. But Venus here in Pisces is very dreamy. Venus does not want to make things real. Venus wants to kind of run away with the circus, especially because Venus is having a harmonious conversation called a conjunction with Neptune, which is all about dissolving. Venus and Neptune together normally represent unrequited love, but then you have this Jupiter with it, and it's like almost, energetically, there's a real possibility of going down the rabbit hole with this unrequited love. There's a bit of like, on the one hand, catastrophization and awfulization of how it could never ever work, like blowing the whole thing out of proportion. And then on the one hand, but then on the other hand, it just straight up like you're going to have to really tune into your story to know if this is true for you. This is a straight up deciding to ignore the circumstances around his own divinity and choose to like have one more jaunt in the sunset with the karmic, like one more lap around the one more lap around the swimming pool with the soulmate. And for some people, this isn't a bad thing, So often we have the idea of the karmic as, ew, nasty, icky. I don't want to deal with her. She's bad. But that's just not the truth. No one's actually all bad. We all have like negative traits and negative behaviors. All of us have wounds that can manifest in lower vibrational choices, but the reality is, for many of you, you have a twin who's with a soulmate and they're just not done. You just have more things to learn, other things to clean up. They've got things they need to reconcile in order to really come to completion in that connection, or to allow that connection to come to a peaceful resolution. And so, with this Neptune sextile Jupiter under the light of this full moon, there is a little bit of an energy of kind of ignoring the things that aren't working, focusing on the things that are working, so that we can allow the things that are working to quote unquote carry us through. Now, for reasons I've already explained in the general video, that's not going to work. um, and you're welcome to go ahead and take a listen to that. I'm not going to go too deep into that here, but um, divine masculine, if you're finding yourself in a place of recognizing, you just crossed over the south node, and that brought with you some of your old patterns, old karma, old wounds that need to be healed, old things that just aren't done yet. And those things have sprung up and you're like, crap, and you just feel a little mired in them. It's okay, because now is the time to look at why these things are the way they are. This new moon, with Mercury being so close to it all in an air sign, communication and mind, this new moon is going to help you clarify why certain things are the way they are in your masculine energy, why you make certain choices, why you have certain patterns, why you operate the way you operate when you hit certain places, either in connection or in yourself or on the road to achieving your goals. This new moon is going to illuminate some of the old patterns and our old addictions and our old wounds that cause those old addictions and old codependency patterns. This new moon is going to illuminate why we are the way we are. Because under the light of this new moon, some of those escapist tendencies are going to come up. They are going to rear their ugly head. They are going to surface and show us the truth of where we're at in our personal development, so that we can legitimately start to make new choices in a real way, not in a fake way. This is the new moon where we get enough information to recognize where we've been trying to pull off a fake through instead of a real breakthrough. So just keep that in mind, that if you found yourself in a circumstance in your own masculine energy, whether you're divine feminine or divine masculine, where some of your old patterns and behaviors are rearing their ugly head and you're like, God, I thought I was over this. It's okay. It's okay. It's happening so that you can come to terms with the wound that caused those behaviors in the first place. Okay? The thing to do is to dig into the exploration, to dig into the insight and the awareness, to look for what causes the internal running, the internal escapism, the internal desire to look away from the pain. That's what you're being asked to do here. Okay. A couple of other things going on for the divine masculine at this time. Because the divine masculine just crossed over the south node, and I went in detail about this conjunction of Jupiter conjunct the south node in my last video about the Cancer new moon. Full moon. It was the Cancer full moon eclipse. I definitely recommend taking a listen to that one if you missed it. This is several things. On the one hand, this, and I don't even know if I went in depth there. I know I went in depth with the people who are on my email list, and I gave them a real thorough understanding of what the South Node conjunct Jupiter means. I think that's where I did it. So if you're not on my email list, you should go ahead and get on that, because I do put out astrological nuggets and tidbits, and those will help you understand what's going on in the collective. As I see certain significant things come up, I'll drop them to the email list if it's not necessarily a new moon or a full moon video time. The link to get on that list is below. But just to kind of bring the rest of us up to speed here, the South Node, can really represent karma. It can represent things, our lessons that we need, that we have already learned. And it can represent our strengths and gifts from a past lifetime. But in the arena of karma, it just represents issues and wounds and lessons that haven't fully been integrated all the way, so we can come back home to oneness and wholeness. Because Jupiter crossed over the South Node about a week or so ago, they were in a full conjunction, and then Jupiter moved forward through the sign of physical manifestation. What's going on here is a revisitation of some of the old patterns, the old habits, the old behaviors, the old codependencies that have kept our masculine energies repeating lower vibrational behaviors. Essentially, the universe is looking us dead in the face and going, are you done yet? Are you done yet? You don't have to be done if you're not done. But if you're done, you should let me know. Because of the higher level insight that they now have as a result of the transit through Sagittarius all of last year, indulging in these behaviors for ourselves, for our own masculine energies, and for divine masculines, because we've got that higher level awareness from last year, it doesn't feel the same. The dopamine hit, the high of it, the security or the gratification that it used to provide, it's no longer there. We're dipping into a dry well here with these behaviors. It's not as fulfilling, and it's losing its appeal. And so, yeah, there's these old patterns around codependency that are rearing their head this one last time. And as a result of it, the messages that came throughout as I was studying this and knowing, where the divine masculine goes from here and where the divine feminine planetarily, where she goes from here, is that there's actually a split. There's a split in the collective in terms of what happens next. Some twins are going to very quickly realize, yeah, I'm done. Thanks, universe. I'm good. I don't need to do that anymore. That actually, like, that addiction made me sick and I'm really good. I don't need to do that anymore. And they're going to move into a cycle of self-healing that precedes some of the first stages of union. Um, and still others will have a little bit of a, wait, who moved my cheese moment? Like, why isn't it working anymore? Let me try it this way. Let me try it that way. This used to work. Um, and they're going to prepare to do a new cycle with this lesson so that they can better understand why it has not worked out before. Um, and that's okay too. All paths lead to union. That's one thing I have become clear of. It's just a matter of when, not if. All paths lead to some form of union, whether it's in this lifetime, the next, this body or another, this decade or another, this year or another. All paths lead back to being in union. So, um, if you find that there was a progression of things forward, only for now there to be a little bit of a slip back, and a little bit of a backtracking with this new moon, try not to worry about it or get caught up in it, or get so triggered by the slip back that you allow your own old patterns to resurface, the ones that you recognize that you have grown out of. Try not to let those come up again. They're not helping you. Even if your twin slips back, don't you slip back, because you're being given the heads up in this video that's it doesn't work, and the gratification isn't there. So do what you have to do to find yourself utilizing this energy with more surrender and grace, and bring that surrender and grace into the vibration in your connection. That way it can accelerate or create the space for things to keep moving forward when and as they are ready to move forward. The other thing here that's happening, and this is part of what really, lends itself to some of that backward movement, is some of what's going on here with the divine feminine. Okay, so here's the divine feminine at 20 degrees of Libra. She's making a hard square to this Saturn-Pluto conjunction that we had. Now that I did discuss in depth last week, or not last week, last full moon, with the full moon lunar eclipse in Capricorn. The divine feminine is preparing to go retrograde. She's at the 20th degree of Libra. She's going to get out to the 21st degree of Libra. And on the 21st degree, on February 8th, she's going to turn retrograde. So that's just in a couple of weeks here, or 3 weeks here, to be honest. If you're curious about how all of this plays out in your chart with your twin, and how this energy may be moving things forward or allowing things to come to a pause point for integration, email me at chrysalismoon@gmail.com, KRYSALISMOON@gmail.com. You'll get an autoresponder that explains how to book your reading for February. February readings are now available for booking. There's limited February spots. I have a couple of projects that have come up that need more of my full attention in February, so there'll be a few less ASTRO readings available. But if you want one and you need one at this time, now is a great time to go ahead and book. So one of the things that's going to lend itself to this bifurcation of the collective, some are going to go into a space of self-healing, others are going to run another lap with some of the older lessons, so that there can be deeper integration and a knowing that before you move forward, is this Juneau retrograde. And so Juneau is beginning the process of slowing down, and she has been for the last several weeks, actually for the last several months, she's been slowing down. in her transitory energy and preparing for this retrograde. And so, some divine feminines, you may find that you have felt a pause in your own growth or a pause in your connection with your divine masculine, or you may have found that you have felt a pause in the progression of energy forward between you and your divine masculine. And this is why, so many times I see it all the time in the YouTube comments. People put it out on the divine masculine why things aren't progressing, but they fail to realize how critical the divine feminine's energy is for that progression in the first place. She is the container, he is the plant. If the container is weak, the plant can't grow. It breaks. There's nothing for it to grow within. And so, interestingly, Marie of Spiritual Baddie actually spoke about this a little bit in a channeled message she did for Divine Masculines not that long ago. I'll see if I can link it here below. She talked about how in the channeled message she said, "Divine Feminine, I need you to recognize how you have hurt me too." And I just thought that was so profound that that was the message that came through. That on top of the DM's wounds that he has been dealing with as he's marching in his progression toward the physical manifestation of a union, he's also not only dealing with his childhood wounds he's gotten from, being a man in, today's day and age. He's also dealing with the wounds that came via his divine feminine. So, that's something to consider here as we enter this moment of pause, because it's a moment of purification. It's a moment, this retrograde of the divine feminine is a moment of energetic cleanup for the divine feminine, where she is going to recognize the ways in which she may not, even if her DM is at her doorstep, have been fully prepared for union prior to now. And this energetically and all of our feminine energies is asking us to take a look at, you know, what is it that we need to notice? What is our own deeper sense of purpose? Um, what do we need to withdraw and really look at? In order to really take ownership of our own growth. And I spoke in the general video about why this is necessary, why we're having this moment of taking a look at our own growth in the collective, especially because this new moon is in an air sign, which speaks harmoniously to the divine feminine's placement here in the air sign of Libra. If you heavily resonate with divine feminine energies, I recommend you take a look at that video, because there's some messages in there. There's some nuggets in there for you about what could be happening in your own vibration that could be halting what it is you say you want. So for both twins, there's a revisitation of old karma that's come up. His feminine energy has unfolded and progressed as far as it will. Um, you know, in terms of, because both twins carry both masculine and feminine energies, his feminine energies have gone as far as they're going to go for the time being. And in order for, divine masculines to be ready for union and divine feminines, there is a level of union with self and union with the divine that has to happen first. And so in the march toward that progression of union with self, divine masculines and divine feminines, we've entered a pause point. We've entered a moment in time where the universe is asking all of us, are you done yet? Are you done with the separation cycles? The universe is asking us, are you sure? Are you sure you truly want to be more closely unified with your own divinity? Are you sure that you truly want to be in union with this person, flaws and all? Are you learning? Have you learned what it is we have set out to learn together in this lifetime? That's what the universe is asking. Are you learning the things we agreed you would learn and integrate in this lifetime? It's a double checkpoint. And so, yeah, for divine feminines, there's this kind of sense of, let me take a deeper look at that. Let me take a deeper, and you may have found too, divine feminines. I've seen a lot of divine feminines talk about how they've gotten really sick. And if not sick, just taken offline in some way, like taken out of the game, set aside, asked to not be as out there or as visible or as in the trenches as they have been in the work of the world. Many divine feminines have been set aside as sacred for a period of time to bring in quite a few new downloads as we move through this particular Aquarius New Moon period, the January full moon period, and in the sign of Cancer. Many divine feminines have noticed like that they had been circumstantially set aside in December and in January, and some as early as November, while they began to prepare for this retrograde energy, this deepening of their own connection with self and source. Because she is at this time with this full moon squaring the lunar eclipse that we just had in the sign of Cancer. And, air signs are consciousness, water signs are emotions. There's a real energy with the square of her struggling to either integrate and or let go of an old chapter, an old way of doing things, or some habit or pattern in her own masculine energy that may have had some of these codependent tendencies. She too is being asked by the universe, are you done? Are you sure? Are you learning? And so, this is one of those new moons where, as someone in the comments in one of my channelings once wrote as we were talking, because my guides were sharing certain information, and she was like, wow, the guides are out here coming for next today. And this is kind of what this new moon is. Like this particular new moon is bringing insights and awareness it's out here letting no one's getting away clean from this new moon and this new moon insight and awareness. This is a new moon really about taking accountability. Owning where you have left your own poop in the middle of the living room floor and preparing to clean it up. So this could play out in so many different ways, depending upon what's going on in your connection and how each of you have used the energies prior to now. If you want a personal reading for you and your twin, email me at chrysalismoon@gmail.com. We'll have a look at your chart, their chart, and your union chart, which I read as the day and time the two of you met. To just have a look at what are the lessons of right now? What are you both being asked to take ownership and accountability of? So that instead of, because here's the thing, this is a retrograde heavy year, and these retrogrades are going to function like a relay race with one energy passing to another, as the retrogrades will overlap starting in April, May, and they'll go all the way through to December. And the answering of this question, are you done yet? Are you clear? Are you clean? Are you ready? Do you want this? If we're still futzing around in these, little pockets of exploring our codependency, that's okay, but just know that it's likely to last until we finish all of the 2020 retrogrades. But if you know that you're kind of done doing that and you're ready to do a different thing, now is a great time to clean it up. Clean it up in your vibration, clean it up in your community, clean it up with your twin, clean it up with yourself, clean it up with source, and get into that state of purification and alignment and letting Source know, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to do the next thing. And if you're not ready, it's okay. Like, we live in a benevolent universe that supplies plenty of chances to learn what we need to learn. There is no rush. There's no rush. The universe wants to work with you at the pace at which you're willing to work. The universe isn't going to force it down your throat. Once in a while, it'll hit you with a 2x4 if you were ignoring the tap on the shoulder, but it's not going to force you. Okay? You've got to engage with what you're being asked to learn too. So if you know you're on a path of growth and you really want to start to nail these things before we start hitting this retrograde energy in April, May, definitely shoot me an email. We'll have a look at your chart in February. And this way, you can settle into the lessons in the now time and not kind of get caught up in the retrograde waves of energy that last all the way through to December. All right. Looking forward to speaking with you and reading for you. And I look forward to hearing how this energy resonates for you in the comments. And by all means, if you've got a platform and this energy has resonated for you, please share it on Instagram or Facebook or in your private groups. I've heard that, the sharing is helping opening up really good discussion for people and allowing them to see ways in which they need to grow. So thank you once again. Take great care. Bye for now.